What you know about love? What you know about love?
Hi, Daej. Hi.
Hey, girl.
Welcome
Hey,
to
Daddy. Hey.
Love. This is a thing. It's going to be great. It's going to be cute. And it's going to be beneficial.
Yes.
Um, I'm just glad to have you here with me. I'm glad to have somebody in my corner that I respect so much, that leads so boldly. And I'm just grateful for this guy thing that's about to go down.
Thank you, girl. I'm excited, honey. I'm excited.
So, sis, I know you to be a writer and I don't even know how you call, I mean, I want to call you a movie maker. I want to call you because when I see something drop, I'm like, I'm moved. I know about the movie. So just if you had to describe your artistry, what would it be? What is it?
um, I am a narrator, I think. I don't really like to um confine myself to any type of medium or to any format. Film is, I love creating little short stuff because I get to capture motion. It's like the only thing that I can translate motion and be artistic. A lot of other forms of art, it's like a still. So I appreciate all of the things that you can get in motion. But I think, I like to tell stories. And however I get to do that, I like to tell real stories, honest stories, day-to-day stories. Like, I wouldn't say I'm no movie maker at by any length, but I like to, there are just real things that happen, like that everybody experiences or everybody can relate to, or somebody, if not everybody, can understand. And I just like to freeze those moments and to archive them. For anything, honestly, my artistry is for me first. Um, it comes out of me because I need it. And so if it serves me, if it ministers to me, I just know somebody else can receive it. And so I think it's been like a good outlet for me. And so I don't know what I would call it. I don't know if it has a name. But I like to tell regular but real stories.
I love that. I really love that you iterated that it's for you. And I think, well, I like to write. I'm a writer. I don't
Yes,
know.
honey. You be writing.
Girl, I be trying to do something. But
Writing.
I mean, honestly, it's really just the heart of what you were just saying. This is for me, is to translate what I'm feeling inside of me and get it
Yeah.
out of my body so I don't know, sometimes I need to just look at it. Sometimes I think the practice itself is liberating. I think,
Yes.
God comes to me in those moments. And I
Yeah.
just, I had a moment with him recently where he was reminding me, like asking me, like, girl, why are you doing what you're doing? Have you lost sight of why you even started writing? You so concerned about, whether or not your book is doing good, or, what's going to happen next in career or whatever. But
Yeah.
why did you ever start? And that is something I really wanted to sit and like confront. Like, I know I wrote for my healing and I
Yeah.
write for my healing, but what does my artwork do? Like, what is it doing for me?
Mhm.
Aside from that, what's the ultimate goal, And it made me think about this thing when I was talking to you about this idea of being or coming back to love. And I listened to this interview with Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Angela,
Mhm.
and I just wish I could have met her. I wish I
Yeah.
could have met her. She's like the sweetest soul. But something that she
Yeah.
said to me, I say to me because it spoke to me and it stays with me, is that all of the artwork we do, or everybody sings and writes and dances and raps or whatever, to get back to love or back
Yes.
to all. She calls God all. She called God all in that interview, and that stayed with me. So I took that idea and took what it is that I'm doing and wonder, am I really writing in a way? Am I serving in a way? Am I living in a way that is leading people back to all? Ain't that just the heart of what we all trying to do? I don't know.
It
Trying
should be.
to
It
love.
should be. Hello, somebody.
Hello, somebody. So what do you think then is the reason or the heart into why you create?
Um, I think for for me, in a way it is tied to, this idea of bringing people back to love or bringing people back to all, um, as Dr. Angela said. But I think the way that I go about it is I really try to stir up a sense of community, or a sense of relation. Like, I think we have really pigeonholed or really tried to define, very rigidly, concepts of relationship and what that means and what that looks like. And so, you and I, we talking about love.
Mm-hmm.
I think about relationships all the time and the dynamics of that, and what it means for something to be a relationship. And I think we have these specific boxes, like, I have to be a partner's relationship or a friendship or my family, but there are so many different types of relationship, and there's a complex web of the different kinds of relationship. And so in what I do, I feel like in my art, or the way that I express myself generally, I try to really like forge relationships. I think all the time, when people can relate to something, relate is the root of relationship. And so that is what I strive to do in anything that I express. I want us to get to a place of understanding or a place of communion where there is a central point where we agree, or a central point where we can talk, because we might disagree, but where we can, have healthy dialogue, or where we feel like we're nostalgic in a certain space over one common theme. I think in everything that I try to do, whether it's visual, whether it's written, creative or not, like, I want to establish a semblance of relationship. Whether that relationship only lasts in that space, and once that space is gone, the relationship has passed. That's okay. Like, that was a thing. There are relationships between strangers. Strangers have relationship. It doesn't have to be a thing that is sustained for so long for it to be relational. And so for me, in my art, like in everything that I do, I want people to feel a sense of communion. Like, if only for a moment, like there was a space where there was some sort of coming together. And again, that don't mean we agree, but there was a common ground that we were all at one point in time, for however long that point in time is, we were on the same playing field, or we were in the same space, or we were thinking about the same thing, or conversing, like whatever the case may be, bringing people into a space and freezing that space to say, for this time, this is the community.
This was us. This was us. There was togetherness.
Yes.
I love that. I think I can relate to that one. I like to say that I feel that I write in a way that makes people to feel like I want people to allow those dead spaces to rumble a little bit, or just places that you have not, really paid attention to. We can call them dead, or we can call them untended. But I would like to think that I can write, or I write in a way that people confront self.
Yeah.
It's about community. And I feel like it's kind of like a connection or an extension of that. Not only should we be able to connect to one another, but you should be able to see yourself deeply.
Yes.
Be brave enough to be in that moment, in that second, whatever the amount of time it was.
Right.
Be with self.
Right.
Unmasked and vulnerable, and just wide open, like the heart of a flower, and that's I think, and how this comes for me, how it comes back to love. As I write and as I lead and as I, just kind of process from day to day, it's in those spaces that I'm realizing like what my heart is really searching for.
Yeah.
Right. And like, who is it that I want? What is it that I want? And I don't know how much of my story but I talk about surviving emotional abuse in my book, all of my writing. Honestly, it talks about my journey. And I've spoken before about having this unhealthy relationship with love as the emotion. And it's like, you want this thing so badly. You want this thing so badly. And it's like, are you really looking where you should be looking? Are you looking at love as the emotion? Are you looking at love as God?
Yeah.
And I thank God for the art that leads us to all, that leads us to love, because it's those naked, in those places where I feel like I'm naked, that I'm seen, that I'm feeling like I'm reached for, so we get that community with people, and that is refreshing. And then I have seen so much of myself, but in the places where I have seen so much of him.
Yes.
That is, I think that's why I cling to the art. I cling to the art, because I'm realizing more and more that it's not just me needing to see myself, it's me needing more of him.
Yeah, girl.
No.
I'll run out of this room right now. Yes, but that's what it's about. That's exactly what it's about.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, that's good. That's, Lord knows I'm learning that the hard way. Reframing what love is. And I have to often tell myself, Deja, and it sounds so simple. Like sometimes I used to really beat myself up about it, because I used to be like, Deja, you're being basic. Like, God is love. Of course, you've known God is love since you were a child. Mm-hmm. But it's like, there have been so many parts of me where I've had to honestly go back to the basics just so I can understand it. Because, once life really stopped making sense, once it's like, okay, well, this not going like I thought it was going to go. You have no other choice than to go back to the basics to say, all right, well, let me break this down again, because obviously the fundamentals, I missed something.
I ain't got it.
And so, like, that's something I'm learning. I can't even say I have learned, because I haven't, honestly. Like, today I'm learning it. Like,
oh man,
God is love, Deja. God is love. Okay? Forget what you want for 1 minute. Forget what you think you had, what you think you want, what you didn't get. God is love. And when you get that, good in your system for real, like God is love, then you look for God, like, and it changes your outlook. I'm looking for God, whether that's relationally, whether that's in what I'm able to produce, the fruit of my gifts. Like, if love is what I seek, if love is what I desire, if I'm asking God, Lord knows, God, give me love, God, give me God, and it sounds so simple, but that's a hard truth to walk yourself through that every day.
Girl, that's so good. That's so good. I'm with you in the struggle. Good God, I am. I think, we really get into it. We start talking talking about trial, talking about strife. Oh my God. I want to make a long story short, just to talk about my struggle with seeing love, and how, how real God had to get with me for me to be able to embrace, like, oh, you really love me. Like, you love me. What? I had surgery last year, October 2020. Mm-hmm. And it was, first of all, surgery to me is traumatic anyway, because something about me being so asleep that I cannot feel literally cutting me up. I don't like that. It makes me uncomfortable. And I just feel like there's just some kind of sleep that's way too close to death. So it makes me nervous anyway. But the kind of surgery that I had to have was directly related to a confession that I made to God in March of 2020. Pandemic season jumps off. Everybody is, we was all kind of, I feel like everybody was kind of scrambling, kind of just reaching.
Yeah.
And spiritually, that's where I was. I was like, you know what, God, I got all this anxiety because I don't trust you. I know it. This is why I'm upset. This is why I'm concerned, because about the uncertainty is because I'm not trusting He who knows all. Talk about it. And the Bible study, it was called Dangerous Prayers. They put me on my face, but it literally asked me,
send that to me.
I'm going to send that to you.
Okay.
It literally asked me to write down my fears, knowing that where I fear is where I trust God the least. And for the longest, and just because of, my journey, I had the fear that I would not be able to have children. And I wrote it down. Honestly, didn't want to look at it no more. You never, until you actualize them, they just kind of in your head. But when you actually write it out, say it out loud, oh, I'm afraid of this, and then you actually tying it to the fact that I don't trust God.
Yeah.
It was a lot for me. So it may find out at my annual. I just went for my checkup. And I knew I had fibroids. I found out 2 years ago, or 2 years prior. That day I went for the annual. My doctor starts talking to me crazy. Like, surgery is mandatory and it's either going to be a hysterectomy or this myomectomy because they got to go. And I'm like, I came for my annual. What are you talking about? Like, no, I get me nothing. So long story short, it became a tumultuous ride. Like, from May to October, I didn't have the procedure. So I knew all this time, I knew I had to have surgery. Yeah. So I finally said October the 1st. I was scared, but so much God had shown me in the months, and I was so frustrated. I was so angry, and I was this and that. But He was steadily like getting me ready for the battle. But it wasn't until October the 10th, literally 10 days after my procedure, I'm sitting on my bed and I'm looking at my scars on my belly where they cut me, and I just felt the Holy Spirit just wrap me up. Because I feel like, people that I wanted love from, they had rejected me. Places and opportunities that I should have gotten, I felt like I should have gotten, prior to or throughout the year 2020. It was a no, it was a no, it was a no. Every door that's closing, it's a no. And I'm sitting and I'm looking at my stomach and I'm telling my mama, asking me how I'm doing. I'm like, I'm good. Like, I was moving slow, trying to be careful or whatever, but I could immediately feel like a burden was lifted. Like, I felt better in my body. I was like, this is crazy. Yeah. I'm sitting and I'm looking at the evidence of the pain and the evidence of the trial on my skin, where I could have lost my life, on the table. Like, and I just said, oh, you love me. Like, it connected, like something clicked right then. Did I have to go through the surgery? I don't know if it was just me being hard-headed or what, but I'm looking at the evidence. I've gone through something, not just spiritual, not just emotional, but something physical too. And now I have something tangible to remind me, no, I am loved. And in every place, it just connected so much for me. Again, struggling with my abuse story, it's like, are you even worthy of this? Do you even deserve this? Is something wrong with you? Like, just things that the enemy had tried to teach me about myself that were not true. And I'm looking at myself and I'm marveling at the fact that, oh, I still have life. And not only that, I have a reminder of how I'm fought for. I'm fought for, and I am loved. And it's like my whole life has changed. Since then, because every time I see myself, every time I see my skin, every time I look at my belly, whenever I get up out of my bed and I'm moving around, I'm like, I'm only here because of love. And I have so much more to write about. Like, I have so much more to give back to love, because I understand with my feeble mind who really loves me, like who really loves me. And people abandoning me and things not wanting or having me, whatever. It didn't matter, and it hasn't mattered. And it's been a healing journey from that point. Like, no, I really have love. Yeah. Took my breath away. Still,
I love that for you, honey. I hope you know that I love it for you.
I feel that, sis.
Child.
I feel that.
I'm just happy that you, I'm glad you got your moment. Like, the love of God is something that's, like I said, like, that's not, it's not an easy thing to grasp, especially when you got stuff on all sides that are the enemy in particular. But I mean, we don't even have to make it a super spiritual thing. Like, Deja will tell herself what's wrong with Deja, and why Deja don't deserve this, and why Deja don't deserve that, and why that went left, and why he went that way. And when you do all of that, it becomes so hard to to comprehend the love of God. Like, it don't make sense, at some point. It's like, this doesn't make any sense. And so what it always requires is it comes to a head at some point, and if you have your moment where it's like, God, okay, this don't make sense, but it makes sense. Like, I get it. I don't know why.
I don't know.
I'm affirmed, and I know. And I'm glad you had your moment, Queen. I really am glad that you had that moment, because everybody don't. I'm not gonna say everybody doesn't have it, because at some point I think, as followers of Christ, everybody comes into that eventually. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad you got yours, sooner than later, because you can wade through the hurt for a long time without being affirmed that God, God loves me personally, because it's also a different experience to know, like, okay, I believe in a loving God, but then to also get it down in your system that God loves me, like, it's something about me, or there is a specificness around me that God tends to, that I'm glad you had your moment. That's why I was over here like, oh, I'm gonna be a thug. Ain't nobody finna cry, but that is so important. Like, that moment is so important. Your life will change when you realize, like, God loves me, especially as women. Like, we need that moment. Definitely, with a background, like you got a story, like you got, like, that moment is required. It's that's a part of the narrative, that God, I think, has written. Like, you got to have your moment where you understand, in spite of all, I love you, girl. Like, I love you. I am love. I'm glad.
Thank you, sis. I'm grateful for platforms like this to be able to testify, because, as I think about it, over the year of 2020, like I said, it was so much going on, so much pain to be felt on every hand, in our individual lives, between people being sick and people being lost from us. And then you got the Black Lives Matter movement. You got the whole reality of how sick, just how sick the world is, period. Mm-hmm. Just a lot to be felt one way or another. I am grateful for the women that, held up my arms. That's how I feel. Like, I'm literally begging for some wisdom and begging for some insight, and I'm crying out to God in ways I ain't never cried before. And it's spaces like this, where testimony was able to lift me, like, literally remind me, like, okay, I got something to look forward to, and I'm grateful for you, sis.
I'm grateful for you.
I have to go back and read our messages sometimes. Hear it right, for real. But you said something that, also stays with me about what we can do or say to ourselves. Girl. Like,
I love somebody.
Girl, all the enemy really got to do is plant the seed. We got it from there. we got it. It's nothing.
I got it. I'll take it from here.
Say less.
Every day.
You said no, I can't. Got it. Say less. It's nothing.
It's tragic.
And I think that, seeing God and feeling him love me is teaching me, reteaching me how to love and how to trust myself. Mm-hmm. And that, I'm gonna say that again. I should say, seeing God, knowing God loves me, loving him back, learning to trust him is teaching me how to love and trust myself. I felt like I knew what romantic love looked like, or what it was supposed to look like. And that was the thing that I wanted. That was the thing that I craved. But I have never known pursuit like the kind of pursuit that Christ has had for me. in them spaces where I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with you. Like, I don't even want to, I don't want, oh, my Bible. I'm not doing
Yeah.
that. Bible say something about lean on the church whenever you can't do it for yourself. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to talk to
Yeah, talk about I'm not doing that.
No, I don't want to do that. But that relentless pursuit, that it doesn't matter how low you go. It doesn't matter where you are in your abyss. I'm reaching for you. That was a lot for me because we're not talking about nobody that just needs me.
Mm-hmm.
I need him,
Mm-hmm.
but he is bending over backwards to get to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I started analyzing that, and it helped me to confront that self-doubt. It's helped me to confront those things, like the lies that my mind is trained to tell me at this point. Like, okay, if God loves me anyway, why can't I love myself? Why can't I forgive this? Why can't I move forward from this shame? Why can't I stop beating myself up and make myself feel so guilty? Why am I not able to do that? He's beyond me. Like, he's in his place. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the same with trusting me with my story, trusting me with my journey, trusting that some kind of way I would surrender at some place. I would surrender and submit and commit to the art that has led me right back to him. Like, he trusted me to walk the battle, like to stay the course and to fight the battle, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And
That's true.
that's the same. And so poses the same question. If God can trust me with a gift like this that I feel so passionate about, with a ministry, why can't I trust myself to walk in it? Why can't I trust myself to bloom within it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a reteach on self-love, literally. Like, it's just how, I mean, I could take his pursuit from me and flip it and make myself to see myself better. Make myself to see myself as worthy, because he's already said it. He's already shown it. He's doing it every day. And I don't know, it's overwhelming. But it's something that, again, it leads me back to the book, something to write about. Because I want to capture all of it. I want to get it all out. And it's all leading me.
Yeah.
I pray leading others back to love.
You light years ahead of us, sis.
Yeah.
Light years. You light years. It take folk a long time to learn how to do that. You are light years ahead of the game.
I thank God for that too, because I was so relentless going the wrong way. You know? I was fighting for something that is not mine. With everything.
Girl, tell me about it. I'm still throwing my final punches right now. Like
tooth and nail.
Tooth and nail. I mean, it's I think, honestly, I had to get really honest with DAEJJ to say, all right, DAEJJ, like, what's going on here? And there's a part where you have to be like, where you have to accept, or you have to be willing to receive the love or receive, the next. Because for me, if I was honest with myself, there have been lots of moments lately, where I'm like, DAEJJ, you don't want to let that go. Like, you don't want, sometimes I think, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. Sometimes I think after we go through something, especially something that seems traumatic or something that really lets us down or disappoints us, as human beings, we naturally want to attach to something or latch on to something, especially memory. We love a memory. We love a memory. It don't make no sense. And a lot of times we hold on to the hurt because it's what we have of the memory. And it's what we have of whatever it is that we're remembering or thinking about, or that is consuming us at all. The only thing that we have left associated with that thing is the memory, especially once it's gone, or once it's violated, or once you done removed it yourself. Like, if it's gone, the thing that you have is the memory. And so we hold on to the memory, And in that memory is hurt. And in that memory is sometimes it's good stuff that, okay, sis, it was good. Let it go. Like, let it go because it's gone. Like, it's trauma. Like, we hold on to this memory that it's like, you cannot even receive. Like, I don't have the capacity, DAEJJ, you don't have the capacity to receive anything else. You don't have the capacity to even set your mind, set your attention, set your heart on God, or to get what it is that you're trying to get, because you're holding on. And so I think, for me, I have to, and it's a daily thing, because some days I wake up and I make a decision to say, I'm letting it go. Like, I'm letting it go. And on those days I feel, full. Like, okay, God, I feel you, God. I'm not mad today. I didn't get mad. I didn't think about it. I feel loved. I'm not craving that thing that I used to crave. I'm not wanting that thing that I do not need. I'm not wanting that thing that I do not want. Like, when I let it go, it frees you up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we talk about freedom and like this, but it don't have to be that deep. Like, when you let stuff go, it frees you up. That it's just that simple.
Right.
And, I think that's why I said you light years ahead of us, because it's hard for us to let go. And you got to let go long enough. That's the part. Like, you have to let go long enough to receive especially when it comes to God. Like, what is God saying? What is God doing? What is it that I am possibly not getting from God that I could be getting? In a lot of cases, most of the time, it is love.
Mm-hmm.
In whatever the format, because God is love. So whatever it is that you need in the specificity of your situation or whomever, love covers all. So it's like, whatever you need, it'll hit you right where you're at. But it's like, you really have to make an intentional decision that I'm going to let it go. And that is the hard part, like, God, in order to get your love, not because it's not like God's love is contingent. Like, I don't have God's love because I'm stuck on something or somebody or whatever. But it's like, the love is there, but I have more to receive it. Like, I have more to understand it. I have more to be full of it when I can let the other stuff go. So you are ahead of the human race, because we struggle in letting it go, like releasing it, detaching it from us. Mm-hmm. Like, that thing is not me. That memory is not me. And it does not, as much as we want it to, it does not have to be a part of me moving forward or where I'm going right now, especially in the ways that it has become a part of me, or that we have made it a part of me. Because I don't want to make it seem like, especially when we go through stuff, like, it's not going to affect us, or it's not a part of our story, or it doesn't lend to who we are, who we become. But I think a lot of times we glorify memory or the experience to be a lot more of us than it has to be. Like, and there's a lot of, I think in my personal experience, especially lately, God be looking at me like, DAEJJ, that's not you. Like, I get it. That's a part of you, and it happened, and it will probably shape the way that you moving forward. But baby, that's not you. And sometimes we make a small thing about us, or sometimes it's not a small thing, but one thing about us, the whole thing about us. Yeah. And God be looking at me like, are you confused? Are you confused? Because I didn't make you to be that, and I didn't make you to dwell on that. You're not here for that. That's not you. Like, so don't make a part of you the whole of you, because you got me bent when you do stuff like that. Okay. So I mean, that's really good, and it's something that I'm honestly learning. And I'm gonna text you, sis. I'm gonna let you know when I feel like, oh, let me tell you something. I got it. I let go long enough, and I have received it all, and I'm about to be in my love bag. Okay, I'm in my love bag. Hello, somebody.
Thanks. I need that text. I'm waiting on that text.
Okay.
But I think the way that I call it, like in my prayer life, I be asking God, like, can you help me be appreciative of what you're freeing me from? Like, helped me be appreciative of the freedom itself.
That's good, child. Because sometimes I'd be like, God, I understand that you're trying to do something, but I didn't ask you for that. Like, I don't want that.
No. And I think, another thing that came to my mind as you were speaking was about the whole fibroid situation. That whole issue the whole thing was miraculous. Like, it was just a God thing all the way around. And like my last doctor's appointment before I went into surgery, my surgeon, this is his first time actually doing my sonogram. So he's looking at it and he's like, and he's seen the pictures and stuff. So, because he's following up my case or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's having a personal encounter with me, and he's looking at it. He like, looks like your fibroid is a little bit calcified, And what does that mean, sir?
Right.
Is that about to hinder anything that we got going on? What is that? What are you talking about? And so he's like, no, it's not going to stop anything. And he just kind of looked at me and said, but it means you've been in a great deal of pain. And he just had that like little moment like that. I was like, but you really don't know the half, because you don't know the half. Like, it's October. It's September 25th at this point.
Mm-hmm.
My birthday is the very next week. And so I get in my truck and I'm like, okay, what's it mean that your fibroid is calcified? And I'm looking at it and it's saying that it's dying. Mm-hmm. It's done all the damage that it can do. It's grown as big as it's going to get. And it's now, for me, at the point of extraction, it is dying. I broke right there because I realized how symbolic that was for all of my pains and all the things that I had been holding on to, making, my whole existence. Mm-hmm. Literally, it is time for these things, and physically too. So I have this thing in my spirit and in my heart that I feel like I need. And then I got this physical thing I did not ask for. And I'm acting like I need it or that I want it because I didn't want to go through the surgery. But the surgery I couldn't get around if I wanted my womb, if I wanted to be able to have kids. It can't stay. Like, and the risk with the kid, with being able to have children, came with the surgery, I was going to have to face anyway and just trust. So it's like, okay, there's a lot going on. Sure. Yet it was time for it to come out and it was dying. And I will say, in all honesty, that scared me just a little bit, because if I thought about all the things that I felt like I needed, that I felt like were attached to that season, like, what am I going to be without him? Or what am I without, girl, what am I going to, and I actually wrote this out. I was texting my shooter, I was texting her about, 3 years ago now. And I had said, what will my quality of life and love be without him? As if that was love, as if what I was getting was love.
Girl,
so sad.
Don't make me scream and holler on the phone, okay? Because I will scream and holler on this phone.
We came to scream and holler. I thought about how badly I had become addicted to my position. And it's like my mouth is praying and begging and asking God for freedom and for increase and for, to really activate the unleashing. And here he is, he's bringing me through it. It's terrifying me. It's ripping me to pieces. It's not looking like I thought it was going to look. And I'm still nervous. Like, I'm still struggling to trust. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be that girl. I don't want to be the girl who cannot appreciate the freedom. Yes. I don't want to be stuck or attached to those unhealthy things and places. Mm-hmm. I want to see myself when I look in the mirror, not the scars and not, the ghost of lovers past. And I want to see me as beautiful as God has called and created and shaped me to be. Like, I want that. Lord, let my walk and my witness be that. Like, let me show that in my body. Let me show that in my face. Like, and it is hard. It's so hard. I feel like I don't want to let you down, but listen, you should. I want to say you should have gave me a warning, like that it wasn't gonna look like what I thought it was.
Okay, God, I'll be all right if you would have just told me it was gonna be like this. That's fine.
You absolutely wild out.
That's fine, God.
Oh my gosh, but sis, I'm right there with you. I don't know. You say I'm light years ahead, but I feel like I don't know. We all carrying the same cross back to love. And that's the journey. I don't know. That's the commitment.
It is.
How do we get away from them broken spaces? And I thank God for the art, because I can capture it all. I can, in whatever place I'm in, if I'm feeling woeful, if I'm feeling angry, if I'm feeling, hurt or whatever, I'm catching it. In poetry, in every stanza, in every line, every word, every metaphor is going in the poetry. And not once I get it out of my body, it does the same thing that it's always done. I feel closer to him. Like, he just, here we go again, and I can say thank you for giving me the words that can express my pain in this moment. That I can confess it to you. You know exactly what I'm talking about. This piece is gonna create community. It's gonna cause somebody to we can have that space where we together in that one moment, or that person will confront themselves. Like, all these great things gonna happen from this, but this right here between me and you, I'm grateful. We carrying the same cross. We walking up the same.
Listen,
walking up the same hill.
Lord, I just can't wait for the resurrection. Okay, because
hey, come on.
Once I get the cross all the way up there and I'm on it, just take me down and bring me back up. Okay, let me be better and different.
That's a mouthful. I literally was on that sermon 2 weeks ago. My granddad was actually preaching about Judas, but that's neither here nor there. It was the analogy where I felt the Holy Spirit speaking to me at that point was about what Jesus was doing in them 3 days. Whenever, you know what I mean? Like,
hello, somebody.
Was he sweating about when he got to come back? Was he sweating about, what's going to happen after the ascent? No, for them 3 days. And I got to believe, and I mean, the way I see it, the Bible says whenever to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So if Jesus was in heaven kicking it with the Lord in them 3 days between the death and the resurrection, I know he was impressed about when God was going to do his next thing.
Yeah, that's good though. That's good.
Want to be pressed in the time I'm laying in the tomb. You know what I mean? Like,
okay,
I don't want to be pressed. I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to be pulling my hair out. I don't want to be frustrated. I know all that. I want to be chilling at home in my body with my daddy God, and okay and ready. Whenever it's time for him to raise me up, whenever it's time for him to exalt us above our situations. Girl, I'm chewing it all.
Girl,
I'm chewing it all.
I'm chewing. I ain't got nothing to say. I'm sitting here looking out the window right now, like, all right. She done gave me all this good truth today, and I have to reflect. I have to go back and reflect.
Girl, okay, we're gonna eat on this for a couple of days, and it'll be good. But I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for just boldly existing. I want to thank you for being accessible and being in this space with me. But I want to thank you for how you create, because I see God in what you do. I feel him in what you do.
I really appreciate that.
It just creates the community, because it's why I even feel.
There we go.
That's it. Hello.
Somebody.
Come on.
Thank you, girl. I mean, I really appreciate that. It means a lot. I'm always grateful when somebody got something to say about anything that I do. But when it comes from certain people, it hit different. And so you're one of those people where I respect you and I love you. And I believe you when you say it. And that's not to say I be trying to call other folks a liar, but some people, stuff just hit different. It really does mean something different to me. Not to say that when other people may say anything of what I do, it's not significant, but it just hits me in a different way. When certain people feel anything about whatever I'm doing, however I express myself or however God gives it to me. I feel like, okay, I might be doing right, because you know, we all go through seasons where I just be like, is this working, or does this mean anything?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I missing the mark? And so I appreciate you for always being, you know, my sister who keeps me grounded enough to remind me, like, you're not missing the mark. And I'm grateful to you for that. I am very, very grateful to you for that. So I just don't want you, I want you to know I don't take it lightly at all. Every time we talk, you know, we're always encouraging each other. And I really, really appreciate that, because it just affirms that, Deja, you're not as far off as you think you are.
I receive it. It's an honor being your sis. I love you, and I thank you. And I pray we got some good stuff out. I pray somebody can eat off of it.
Oh, oh yes, I pray so too. I think so though. This is a good conversation. Good. This is, we need a sequel. You let me know when you're ready for the sequel.
Okay, because now we're here.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, there was a couple times I could have ran out the room. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna be waiting on that tape. I'm in my
yes.
Yes. What you know about love? What you know